Over the last week, while the world debated naval blockades, failed negotiations in Islamabad, and oil prices hitting record highs, a decision was being made behind the scenes in Abu Dhabi, a decision that does not involve missiles, aircraft carriers, or public ultimatums, but one that, according to analysts, could be more devastating to the Iranian regime than everything that has been fired since February 28th. Dubai. To the world, this is the ultimate oasis of the 21st century, a monument to excess, innovation, and above all, neutrality. While the world splits into blocks, the United Arab Emirates built an empire on the premise that money has no side. It is now April 2026. The fragile balance that kept the Persian Gulf in a cold peace has evaporated. What remains is a financial weapon of nuclear proportions, a weapon that does not use uranium, but rather bank records, shell companies, and capital flows. If the Emirates decide to push the button, Iran's economy could collapse within weeks. According to Reuters' breaking views, the sense of trust between Tehran and Abu Dhabi is now non-existent. Anwar Gargash, diplomatic advisor to the UAE president, he was unequivocal. There is no trust. The Emirates hold something Iran desperately needs in order to survive: access to the world's financial oxygen. Iran has spent decades under US and UN sanctions. In order to survive, they created a shadow banking system, and the heart of that system beats inside Dubai. The double-edged sword mentioned in the Reuters report refers to Abu Dhabi's dilemma. They can punish Iran by freezing its assets, but in doing so, they could frighten all the other investors who seek refuge in Dubai from global politics. It would mean the end of neutrality as we know it. Here is the number that should make the world stop and pay attention. It is estimated that around $50 billion in assets linked to Iran are parked in the United Arab Emirates. The person behind that figure is Michael Doran, a director of the Center for Peace and Security in the Middle East at the Hudson Institute. How did that money get there? Iran is a master at turning oil into cash through clandestine networks. With annual oil exports valued at $43 billion, according to 2024 data, Tehran's regime needs those revenues to be settled and recycled somewhere. For Iran's parallel banking network, one of those places lies just across the Gulf. A U.S. Treasury report, published in October 2025, had already warned that more than $8.6 billion in flows linked to Iran had been detected in just 1 year, with 70% of those funds passing through entities based in Dubai. Dubai's weapon is simple: total freezing. Imagine shutting down all the accounts of shell companies, cutting off local exchange houses, and blocking the assets of the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. This would not merely be a setback for Iran, it would be immediate economic suffocation. Tehran would lose the ability to pay its allies, support its currency, and crucially, fund its war machine. Esfandiar Batmangelij, CEO of Bourse and Bazaar, a think tank specializing in Iran, was direct. The Emirates are the most important gateway for Iran to engage with the global economy. Closing that gateway would be like sealing the last open window in a room that is already out of air. Andreas Krieg, a senior lecturer at King's College London, was even more precise. This is the most important non-military tool the UAE can use against Iran. We cannot talk about this conflict without mentioning the elephant in the room: the United States. Right now, the American government is walking a tightrope. On one hand, Washington is pushing for tougher sanctions. On the other, it is trying to negotiate a ceasefire to keep oil prices from skyrocketing and wrecking the global economy. Here is the point that most analyses ignore. If the Emirates freeze those assets, they hit Iran where it really hurts. But they also trigger a crisis at home. A large-scale freeze could provoke new Iranian attacks against critical infrastructure, such as ports and refineries. The UAE real estate market would face a downturn, and Dubai's image as a neutral destination for investment from all over the world would be compromised. Russians, Venezuelans, the investors from sanctioned regimes who keep fortunes in Dubai, all of them would begin to ask, "Am I next?" Capital Economics estimates that the UAE economy could contract by as much as 10% in 2026. A financial shock of this magnitude, at this moment, would be the greatest test ever imposed on the so-called Dubai model. And Abu Dhabi knows it. There is also the geopolitical factor. The Emirates fear being betrayed by Washington's diplomacy. If Abu Dhabi freezes Iranian assets today, and 2 months from now, the United States signs a new nuclear or ceasefire agreement with Tehran, the Emirates will be left alone with the losses and with a furious enemy at their doorstep. That is why, as the Reuters article says, the financial weapon remains, for now, holstered. By revealing that Dubai's safe harbor has keys that can be turned for political reasons, the Emirates would destroy the very foundation of their economic miracle. They would cease to be the capital of capital and become just another pawn on the geopolitical chessboard. The climax of this story is the understanding that the UAE is sitting on a financial bomb. If it does not explode, Iran continues its aggression. If they detonate it, Dubai may never be the same again. The mutual dependence between the aggressor, Iran, and the financial facilitator, Dubai, has created a balance of terror in which money is the only thing preventing total war, and at the same time, it is the very thing funding it. The central point of all this is simple. Dubai entered this war without needing to launch a single missile. It entered the moment it began threatening Tehran's financial rear guard. And what perhaps even the American government did not expect so clearly is that one of the heaviest weapons against the Iranian regime right now would not come from a bombing campaign. It would come from shutting down the route that for years helped that regime survive. The United Arab Emirates are facing an impossible choice. If you were in charge in Abu Dhabi, would you push the button to freeze Iran's billions and risk driving away all the world's major investors? Or would you continue allowing your enemy's money to flow through your streets in order to keep your economy from breaking? Leave your opinion in the comments. We want to know whether you believe financial neutrality is still possible in a world at war. Thank you for watching. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. See you in the next video.